We're at the Harvest Conference.
Presented by Asheville's Organic Grower School. This is the third Harvest Conference they've done, because their spring conferences have always been so successful, as we learned.
So we decided we liked the spring conference so much, we would check out the fall one.
And we split up at the beginning. I did high tunnels for homesteaders because it seemed pretty relevant. The woman teaching that class, Christina Newhouse, Christina Newhouse, is currently in operation as a farmer doing high tunnel growing. So she knows what she's talking about from experience, and is a big fan of the Johnny Seeds catalog. That was the big takeaway of, you can get plans on their website to like build DIY style your own high tunnel for like $200 for a small one.
That's pretty good.
Hers is a 16 by 48 and it cost her $2,700, which is still good for that kind of size. So it was good stuff, but it was kind of dry for me to just repeat here.
And I did root cellars, and that was just a really good overall class. If you don't know anything about root cellars, which I didn't, he talked about the two different kinds of root cellars, which are high humidity and low humidity, and then also he showed a bunch of pictures of different examples of root cellars, and we got a great handout about what fruits and vegetables and what temperature they store at. And he went over...
Yeah, I need you to make me a copy of that handout. It's pretty handy.
Yeah, it was really great. And he went over his process when he built his cellar, and it was a really good class.
Class number 2 of the day, I took, what did I take? Oh, no-till gardening with Patryck, who he's awesome. He's the garden director at Living Wood Farms, which is somewhere that we need to take a field trip to. And
definitely.
Maybe some of their workshops, because they're free, and you can watch them actually
Oh, I didn't know they were free.
Well, they're like donation-based.
Oh, okay,
so
that's good.
If you can't afford much, then... I mean, the takeaway from that, it was much more notes than it is worth talking about, but it's cover crops. So you're going to be your best friend, build your soil up, and it makes tilling, a completely pointless activity. But the reason you don't want to till anyway is just because it disturbs your soil and all of the good organisms in the soil, and it's not really a necessary labor hassle you have to worry about if you're doing everything else right. So, yeah.
Which is cool. And I did, I don't remember the exact title, but it was Wild Foods, and I thought that the class was going to be a little different than it was. I was really interested in actually making more culinary dishes with wild foods, like meals, but the class really seemed to focus on more medicine making, and it just sort of was a very overview. Like,
was it kind of stuff you already knew?
It was a lot of stuff I already knew, and I mean, a few things, some of the tips and stuff I thought were good, but that I didn't know, but most of the class was already stuff I knew. So like, if you were a total beginner to medicine making and foraging, I think the class had some value, but
you just got what you could get.
Yeah. Yeah. So for our first afternoon class, we took this class together, and it was how to press your own oils at home.
Yeah, and that was really awesome. It's much more cost effective than I would have expected. The equipment, hand crank to use, is only $100, and economically speaking, you invest in your pumpkin seeds or your sunflower seeds, but you get high yield from those plants, so you get tons of seed that you can press for oil. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and they don't, it doesn't last as long. The shelf life is shorter, but because it's less processed than what you'd buy in the store, but it's better for you because it is less processed.
And the flavor was through the roof.
The flavor was really amazing.
A little bit would go a long way.
Because I tried some of the seed, and then we tried some of the oil, and it was almost exactly the same flavor.
Yeah.
It was like eating the seed, which it is.
Yeah. And there might even be applications for it in skincare, if you got creative with it for like some of your salves and balms and stuff. You just have to obviously, pair it with things like rosemary or vitamin E that would help preserve it and whatnot.
Yeah, so it was really cool. He also made oil from okra seeds and cabbage seeds.
Yeah,
cabbage seeds.
That one was stinky. I didn't want to try that one.
So you can get some really interesting oils that they don't sell at the grocery store.
Last class of the day was taught by the same guy who did the home oil press, but he was with one of his coworkers because they're both from the So True Seed company, and it was about saving your seed, which is a class that probably would have been helpful to me 2 years ago. But you live and you learn. It's all good info. I definitely took a lot of notes.
Yeah, it was a really awesome class. They had to compress a lot of information, so I really feel like it could have been much longer.
Yeah, but I was
parts,
surprised at how much they were able to cover too. I mean, they walked you through every bit of the basics. Like 90% of it is stuff that I wasn't doing when I was attempting to seed save, and I'm thinking about the seeds that I saved and thinking, wow, so that sucked.
Yeah. There's like a lot involved, like when you plant your plants and which varieties, which species you plant of each plant, and
how far you have to isolate them, if you have to isolate them from each other so that they don't cross-pollinate. And then that's not even getting down into the nitty-gritty of like how you actively prepare the seeds for storage and how you store them. So
right.
That was a lot of information crammed into one class.
But it was really good.